Hi Charlie, welcome to the 47th day of my video polling analysis, where I break down and analyze the LinkedIn poll that I posted last week and the close this morning. As you know, I try to stay up to date with my poll topics, mentioning current events, famous people, celebrities, just basically anything that's making headlines, and trying to get people's opinions on it, engage people, provide a little bit of context and information behind what's going on the headline. Anyway, last week I decided to ask a question about Warren Buffett, aka the Oracle of Omaha, considered the greatest investor of the modern age by certain individuals. He is renowned for his growth-focused strategy rather than day trading like a lot of these famous gurus on YouTube and Instagram are. So anyway, I thought that by putting Warren Buffett's name into a poll question, I would get a ton of engagement. I was a bit wrong, and we will talk about that soon. So anyway, this question was, should you follow Warren Buffett's investing advice? There were 3 answer choices: yes, no, and maybe. Unfortunately, though I actually expected this poll to perform above average, that is, get above my average votes per poll of 80 to 85 votes, this poll only got 66 votes, which is a bit disappointing because Warren Buffett is someone that has been discussed frequently in some of my finance and investing classes. He's someone who continuously makes the news. Just a few days ago, he released a bit of an update on his perspective about President Trump's tariffs, and that made headline news, even though he's kind of a calm, sort of reserved type of guy, not making bombastic statements. But, whenever he releases something, whenever he gives advice publicly, people listen. So I was a bit disappointed to see that Warren Buffett's name does not carry as much cachet as I anticipated, at least among my LinkedIn voters. And perhaps that's because not all of my voters are in the financial services industry. A lot of them are emerging professionals or professionals in other industry. They might not have as much familiarity with Warren Buffett's investing strategies and his public comments about investing in the S&P 500 Vanguard ETF or things like that. So I'm not that surprised now that I think about it, and it's okay. Some days are going to be a bit worse than others, but the point of this experiment is to keep going regardless, and eventually, even if it takes 20 days of subpar performance, I will get a poll that gets over 100 votes, which is kind of the gold standard for me right now. So anyway, on to the distribution of this poll question. 42% of these 66 voters said that yes, you should follow Warren Buffett's investing advice. 14% of them said no, you should not follow Warren Buffett's investing advice. And 44% of them were honest enough to admit that maybe you should follow Warren Buffett's investing advice, but they're not entirely sure. So that was surprisingly the most popular category, almost a majority, but not quite. So it just goes to show that maybe people aren't familiar with the specifics of Warren Buffett's investing strategy, just that he's known for his buy and hold strategy rather than, day trading, scalp trading, trying to take advantage of those short-term price movements in stocks. So anyway, on to some statistics about Warren Buffett and his famous company, Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway currently has a record cash position of $334.2 billion. In 2024, Buffett decreased his equity position from $354 billion to $272 billion. This caused Berkshire Hathaway's profits to, surprisingly enough, jump 71% to $14.5 billion in 2024. From quarter 1 to quarter 3, 2024, Buffett sold 605 million shares of Apple stock. Berkshire Hathaway, however, still has a $75.1 billion stake in Apple. Buffett also sold 352 million Bank of America shares. That amounts to a 34% decline in his Bank of America stake. In 2024, Berkshire Hathaway paid an astonishing $26.8 billion in taxes. This actually amounted to 5% of all corporate tax paid to the IRS, which is absolutely incredible considering how many gains you have to have amassed to incur such an enormous tax bill, because unrealized gains are not taxed, but when you sell your shares and you realize a gain, that's when you have to pay taxes on that gain. And this is basically what happened in 2024 because Warren Buffett was selling off so many shares of stock, especially in Apple and Bank of America. And obviously when you sell your shares, whether you're like an individual investor or a kind of institutional investor like Warren Buffett, not a special category like pension funds or endowments or foundations, but just, buying and selling in kind of like a brokerage account fashion, then you do have to pay a capital gains tax on that, unfortunately, or fortunately for the US government, I suppose. Again, none of what I'm saying is actual investment or financial advice. Please consult a financial professional, someone who's licensed and qualified for that financial advice. I'm just sharing some statistics. I'm just sharing my opinion on Warren Buffett based on what I have read about him. He seems like a pretty smart dude, but I would advise getting a financial professional to help you with your specific financial situation, because if you're, for instance, in a lot of debt, that's probably not the best time to start investing. It's best to maybe pay off some of your debt and avoid being dogged by those interest payments for decades. So anyway, Charlie, thank you so much for listening to my spiel about Warren Buffett, the quote-unquote Oracle of Omaha. And again, to prove that I did not just make these poll questions and distributions and statistics up, I will be showing you the poll as it appears on LinkedIn. This is the poll as it appears on LinkedIn. As you can see, it got 66 votes. Maybe was the most popular answer choice by a very, very slight margin, which shows that people are currently a bit unsure about Warren Buffett's strategy and how it's applicable to the average Joe or Jane in the United States. But I thought it was a pretty interesting distribution nonetheless. Taught me a few things about the kind of content that my audience wants, as in the content that gets 100 or more votes. So anyway, interesting experiment. Glad I did it, and I have hundreds more polls in the works. Anyway, Charlie, thank you so much for listening to another one of my video polling analysis spiels, and stay tuned for my 48th video polling analysis tomorrow. See ya and have a wonderful day.